You are now in the black box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, a.k.a. BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang. Let's go!
Snakewood and that Puzzle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spider Loke. You know I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
Jeter. Gratitude is the attitude. This show is a blessing to be back in the black box as we blow us a session. The constant, consistent, continuous content creation campaign continues. Those are the 7 C's for those that don't know. And I am your captain as we navigate throughout them. SPI Easty, a.k.a. VJ Keyway. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. However, I do believe in some conspiracy theories. And one that is becoming more and more believable to me is that black men that become successful are going to be attacked by the corporate, the powers that be, the higher ups. They're going to try to create a ceiling for you or something, bro. Because I don't know. It seemed like Shannon Sharpe, as an athlete, he was good, cool. If he was into sports, football in particular, you was aware of him. He had a brother that played too, tight end. Not one of the tight ends that really start really getting a lot of shine. He was like one of the biggest, but then it started until Gronk. They weren't really highlighting tight ends like that, right? But now, on this next phase of his career and his media sheenet, he been hella popping. And right now, I was just scrolling through YouTube streets, looking for something to react to, and I see everybody with this Shannon Sharpe thing. So I'm like, Fee Nugget. I uploaded it. I have no idea. I just see everybody talking about it. I said, so what? So Fee Nugget. I'm finna learn right in front of y'all what's going on. So with no further ado, let's see what Shannon Sharpe has been up to. What the fuck is going on?
This just in, the Texas attorney who targeted Sean Diddy Combs with dozens of civil lawsuits on behalf of John and Jane Does allegedly victimized by the music mogul has a new target in his sights. NFL legend Shannon Sharpe. A brand new lawsuit was just filed in Nevada claiming Sharpe was manipulative and abusive and eventually sexually assaulted a Jane Doe, with the latest claims allegedly happening as recently as January. We got our hands on the filing and we're going to break down everything you need to know. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Tony Busby's back. The lawyer who went after Sean Combs, Jay-Z, we'll talk about that. Well, he is still swinging at high-profile men that he claims are abusers. This time he's calling out Shannon Sharpe, the 56-year-old NFL superstar turned podcaster and commentator. Brand new lawsuit filed against Shannon Sharpe. We got a copy of it right here. It was filed out in Nevada. We're going to go over it. But Shannon Sharpe, in case you don't know who he is, he played 14 seasons in the NFL with the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2011. After he retired, he spent time as a sports commentator and analyst. You might remember that he co-hosted Skip and Shannon, Undisputed, with Skip Bayless from 2016 to 2023. Bayless and his then employer, by the way, Fox Sports, they faced their own accusations of sexual misconduct in a separate filing from earlier this year. We covered it here on Sidebar as well. Now, Sharpe is part of the sports podcast space. He hosts 2 shows, Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. In fact, you remember his interview with comedian Cat Williams in January 2024 on Club Shay Shay? That helped spark, I should say, a renewed interest in Sean Diddy Combs and his alleged bad behavior at his infamous parties. Got a lot of people talking.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did.
But now it's Shannon Sharpe who's in the spotlight for his own accusations of abuse. Because on Monday morning, Texas attorney Tony Busby announced on his Instagram that he'd filed a $50 million lawsuit in Nevada court against Sharpe. On Instagram, he wrote in part, "I'm extremely proud to represent Jane Doe. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up against those with power, fame, and money. I look forward to pressing this case in court." So we're going to go over this, but I want to first bring in John Clune, civil attorney who litigates on behalf of survivors of sexual abuse and sexual assault. John, so good to have you. And again, this is kind of breaking news. I didn't have an opportunity to fully go through this lawsuit, so you and I are going to break this down in basically real time. When we saw this early this morning, it was a shock to us. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was the timing of it, to be honest. Before I read the lawsuit, just the timing of it for it to be filed, on Easter Sunday, that struck me as an unusual move. But then as I went through the lawsuit, the allegations are pretty disturbing. We don't know if they're.
What court is open on a Sunday to receive a filing? How did they file the lawsuit on Easter Sunday? Did they just announce it on Easter? Because he just said they filed it on Easter. That's shocking.
True or not, but what's written in the complaint is pretty terrible stuff.
John, I have to say, to go after Shannon Sharpe, if you're Tony Busby, after what just happened with Jay-Z. Remember, he filed that lawsuit on behalf of a Jane Doe, a woman who claimed that she was 13 years old back in 2000 and was sexually assaulted by Jay-Z. That lawsuit was dropped, and it came after serious questions of her story and credibility surfaced, both by reporting by NBC News and evidence that was presented by Jay-Z's side. Jay-Z ended up suing this woman, suing Tony Busby as well. So now to go after Shannon Sharpe, another high-profile figure, does that tell you that he feels he has the evidence in this case?
Well, Mr. Busby is a pretty bold mover in this space. I mean, he seems to not be, shy about his decision making. So it could mean that he's got the goods in this particular case, or it could just be, kind of par for the course. And this is how he, handles his high-profile cases. But
and me and I know, you can't just file a frivolous lawsuit. You can't file a lawsuit to harass somebody. You have to believe the law, the facts. There's, there has to be some semblance of facts that you put forward in a complaint that pass a motion to dismiss test. So he has to feel that he might not have all the evidence right now, but he has to feel confident in Jane Doe's account, right? Otherwise, he'd be breaking ethics rules.
Yeah, and the thing with these accounts, like in a sexual assault, just a Jane Doe against an individual, is it's really hard to get rid of that case on a motion to dismiss, or even down the road on a motion for summary judgment. Because if you have your client who's saying, this is what happened to me, and then in this case, say Mr. Sharpe says, no, that's not what happened, it was very different, that's really a trial issue. That's not something a judge is really going to dismiss on motion. So other types of cases that have more subtle elements to them maybe can get dismissed on motion, but this kind of thing is really hard for a defendant to get rid of short of trial.
By the way, our content shows just how rampant crime is right now, and that is especially true with cybercrime. Cybercrime growing more dangerous and widespread. It threatens businesses like never before. I mean, did you?
My bad for the commercial, y'all. I don't feed knuck with commercials, so I'm going to mute it. Try to continue to tell when the commercial over. Probably when that banner disappeared. I thought they was going to get more direct into what he was accused with, and he was going to do a quick reaction, but they're being more analytical. All right.
Faster, more efficiently, and with peace of mind. To fit every industry. So right now, you can go to ApolloNetworks.com/sidebar or scan the QR code on screen to get a free network health assessment and 50% off your first month. By the way, before we get into the context of the suit, Jane Doe, so filing under Jane Doe, a pseudonym, typically speaking, how likely is it that she will be able to continue moving forward in this litigation anonymously? I know in the Sean Combs case, several courts have said that the Jane Does and possibly even the John Does have had to come forward and reveal their identities. Talk to me about what the interests, the different factors the court will look at, and whether or not Jane Doe would be able to proceed anonymously.
Yeah, I'd say at best it's 50-50 that she's able to proceed in that fashion. I mean, generally speaking, there's a strong preference in the courts for transparency and open proceedings. That includes using your real name in the lawsuit. If you can convince a court that there's a public interest in keeping her name, from the public, which can be something like safety issues, it can be the shame of the situation, if it's the age of the person, quite often if they're underage, you're much more likely to be able to keep the pseudonym. But in this kind of a case where it's one adult against another, unless there's any particular safety harms, it's not an easy thing to be able to convince a judge to keep it as a Jane Doe.
Yeah, and I've seen the argument put forward by the judge. Basically, if you are choosing to file a lawsuit and you are putting this celebrity in the spotlight, the defendant has a right to defend himself, to investigate your claims, to investigate you. You're the one who chose to file the lawsuit and put your credibility at issue, so you should have to be able to proceed with your name and your identity being exposed. But again, there are certain factors to consider. And by the way, when we talk about Tony Buzbee, let's not forget, he filed numerous lawsuits on behalf of others against Sean Combs. That's how his name has really come up in the news in the past several years.
This dude keep wanting to make it about other cases. You talking about Jay-Z, you talking about Sean Combs. What's happening with Shannon Sharpe and his accuser, homie? That's what we here for. I apologize, y'all. I guess I got to do better scanning the content beforehand, because I probably would have chose another report to react to if I knew they was going to be all abstract and roundabout, beating around the bush. Get to the point, why not? But we already came in this far. I'm pretty sure we're going to get some details out of it. If we don't, y'all ain't going to never see this video. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
Right? He held that press conference where he said that he was representing so many dozens and dozens of accusers against Sean Combs. So now I want to dig into what this lawsuit has to say. So Tony Buzbee, let me just say this, known for his flamboyant speech in his civil filings. And in this one doesn't appear to be any exception, because it begins, a woman can say yes to consensual sexual relations with a man 99 times, but when she says no, even once, that no means no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who's accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand this basic concept. After many months of manipulating and controlling plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept the answer no and raped plaintiff, despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no. According to the complaint, Jane Doe worked out at this same gym as Shannon Sharpe in Los Angeles, and she was 19 at the time. This is what she claims. And she claims that he had been watching her during her workouts and finally introduced himself, insisting that she give him her number. And the filing says that Jane Doe found Sharpe, quote, physically intimidating. The lawsuit reads, over the next couple of weeks, Sharpe incessantly pursued plaintiff. He constantly approached her at the gym and attempted to contact her frequently with phone calls and text messages asking to meet up, unwilling to take no for an answer. Eventually, plaintiff gave in and agreed to meet with Sharpe outside of the gym. However, before doing so, Sharpe demanded that Doe sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, something plaintiff found a bit concerning. She wondered why Sharpe was so insistent on her signing an NDA. She refused. Despite his repeated efforts to get her to sign, she refused time and again. Eventually, he dropped the issue and invited her to his house. Now, the lawsuit claims that this relationship between Sharpe and Jane Doe, again more than 30 years his junior, was consensual, but it was rocky. She said he'd insisted they were exclusive, but then was caught multiple times lying about his whereabouts and who he was seeing. According to the filing, quote, by October 2024, Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively worse, beyond anything plaintiff had experienced with him before. At this point, he was insistent upon recording their sexual activities, sometimes without her knowledge. Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do to her things that would make no other man want her. By this point, Sharpe was no longer able to credibly maintain the relationship was exclusive. He had at this point accidentally or purposely, to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having sex with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger when plaintiff noted his infidelity to the relationship or called him out about his extraneous activities. What had once become manipulation, control, and intimidation now became something far more dangerous and sinister. Sharpe even figured out how to get into Doe's apartment complex without her permission. Sharpe made it clear that what Doe wanted was of no moment, that Sharpe would get what he wanted when he wanted it. In October 2024, Shannon Sharpe violently sexually assaulted and anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it again in January. Now, before I get into what the claims for relief are here, first, John, your thoughts on that narrative put forward by Jane Doe.
Yeah, I mean, it's deliberately graphic narrative. There's nothing inherently wrong with going into that level of detail in these types of cases to kind of get the court's attention on how serious this is. But it's probably on the more graphic side of the scale in terms of these types of pleadings.
If there are recordings, how would she be able to get access to them, and how could that help her case?
Well, when she gets into civil discovery, she can demand copies of those. Whether they exist or ever existed, we don't know. But if they do exist, he'll be required to produce those. I mean, those could be significant. I mean, if you have videotapes of either non-consensual behavior.
That's all I was trying to hear, what she was accusing him of. And it's $50 million. I am aware it's not a legal issue. That blows my mind. Why is this not a criminal issue? How is she making these claims and just going for cash? That's one thing, because this is very recent incidents. But if he is guilty of the things that they say, he's a piece of he's a creep, and he's going to suffer. If this lawsuit goes too far, he might suffer whether it's true or not. This is not a good look, just in general. I don't know if he's guilty. I don't want to say she's a liar. It just seems like this is starting to become run-of-the-mill, man. Sometimes it's just hard to make it out, and things ain't what they seem to be, so we got to read between the lines. Whew.
We read between the lines. We read between the lines. We read between
On
the
the set, could have swore I had covered my bases. Ended up in court, had to fight a couple of cases. Crackers don't care when you come in them places. It be written on their faces. Them motherfuckers is racist. Fuck trial, shit tricky, give me the deal. I ain't never seen a real killer beat a pill. Shooter got a brighter future if he got a date. Behind the gate, lot of politics to tolerate. Sitting in the car, finna split a cigar. To my niggas on the yard, send my biggest regards. You don't wanna run it back, we already ran it. You landed flat on his back, cause I'm heavy-handed. Wanna catch another fade, we can follow up. But I ain't waiting all day, niggas squabble up. Gang of anger, got it all bottled up. Gang bangers, whole world follow us. Evil signs you believe, can you see the sign? Tell me who gon' lead the blind, why they lead the blind? Am I wrong, cause I'm all about me and mine? Niggas better catch on, read between the lines. Evil signs you believe, can you see the sign? Tell me who gon' lead the blind, why they lead the blind? Am I wrong, cause I'm all about me and mine? Niggas better catch on, read between the lines. Niggas clowns need to be in the circus. Putting these buzzers on the turf, they defeating the purpose. The first to return when the enemy serves. Immediately on ease, these weenies be nerve dedicated to a section that didn't deserve us. It turned us into murderers and then it deserted us. Number one lesson I learned in the pen: when you lose your respect, you can't earn it again. Smoke a lot, classified most faded. The bloke won't be satisfied till all his folks made it. This Cabbage Patch where he caught most of the damage at. Perhaps he know a magic plastic surgeon that can manage that. Ask me, I'm just a product of my habitat. Narcotic habits where they quick to let you have it at. Big homie talking about he need half of that. I'm laughing at him as if my little bastard having that. Evil signs you believe, can you see the sign? Tell me who gon' lead the blind, why they lead the blind? Am I wrong, cause I'm all about me and mine? Niggas better catch on, read between the lines. Evil signs you believe, can you see the sign? Tell me who gon' lead the blind, why they lead the blind? Am I wrong, cause I'm all about me and mine? Niggas better catch on, read between the lines.
in that puzzle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
It's the homie cook-up boss, goddammit, Cub Low. And y'all tuning in to the Wake and Bake Show with goddammit the homeboy Spider Low.
Here with SPI, the realest nigga in LA.
Spider this bitch!
My nigga Spider Low. Spider Low, nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low, that's my nigga.
Spider Low. Spider Low.
Shout out to SPI, that motherfucking nigga.
Spider Low, Wake and Bake. Better keep it Google, nigga.
Loke is in LA somewhere doing what he's doing.
In the words of Spider Loke on my mama's mama.
Spider Loke's gear. This is Bay Mac.
Nightblood, C-Mac, shout out my Loke, Spider Loke, huh? Nightblood, on hood, it's a beautiful world. You fight me? Fight, cred.
Point blank, through no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A east side millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be, yeah.
You are now in the Black Box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang.
Let's go!